hypertension has been given a salt name. It's not a salt problem for the most part. There are people a small population that it is. For the most part, hypertension is an insulin problem.
Yes, yeah. So let's shift gears now. We all talk about blaming food all the time. That it's the food that has caused somebody to become diabetic. But then we also hear other part of the story that okay, this businessman who was super busy, hardly slept for 4 hours at night, and there was a lot of haywire eating and a lot of stress in their life, and bam, one day they developed diabetes. What is your take on the big role of uh, sleep and stress in the onset of type 2 diabetes?
Right. Learning again from people much smarter than me. Um, I've learned that there are three like really big causes to insulin resistance, which is ultimately leading to the diabetes. Um, Food is just the easiest to manage. It's the easiest to handle. You have stress, which and causes high cortisol, and then you have inflammation, right? And we're looking now at these inflammatory seed oils and seeing their role in insulin resistance. Stress is huge. Stress causes that cortisol release. Stress causes that deep visceral fat, the most dangerous fat around our organs. The problem, and you can see studies that show people will eat the same amount of calories, um, and or actually less. But if you're stressed, you can gain weight on less calories than the control group just due to that cortisol level. So the cortisol in itself is highly inflammatory and can cause, the insulin resistant. That's where the diabetes comes from. And it's not, I try to teach people, it's not, we miss calling the insulin resistance that leads to the diabetes. The stress has been going on for a long time and increasing cortisol levels. And we're just told as a society, just deal with it. Just deal with the stress. It's just normal. It's part of aging. It's part of corporate life. But, but they don't look at what it's doing at a metabolic level. You know, we're from a society that the harder you work, the less you sleep, the tougher you are, the more you're going to be successful, right? If you take time and sleep and do medication and stress mitigation practices, you're looked at as weak, right? That person's weak. And society has got to change. We have to. Stress is killing us silently. It's been called the silent killer. It's doing it. It's doing it. It's exacerbating itself though in ways like fatty liver, hypertension, diabetes. What do you like when you end up on dialysis from your stress due to your diabetes and your hypertension? Then what are you going to do? So there's that, and then inflammation. Inflammation those insulin receptors in that cell, they get inflamed through cortisol, through high insulin in itself. It's like that cycle, the insulin causing the inflammation, right? Our body's pumping out so much insulin, which is making it worse. The chemicals in the food, the sugar, the lack of sleep, the obesogens and things in our environment that no one thinks about. I have a drawer full of perfume. I refuse to wear it anymore. There's thousands of dollars worth of perfume in my bathroom. I won't wear it anymore. I love candles. I love smells. All of it's in the trash. I refuse to use any of that anymore. Now my home smells of vinegar because I don't use cleaning products anymore. These are things that we have to talk about. Inflammation, gout, neuropathy is inflamed nerve. Where does that inflammation come from? Sticky glycation, right? So it's just it's everywhere. It's in the the air that we breathe, in the water, right? Are you drinking out of a water bottle that's plastic? Did you know that plastic? I mean, it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the microwavable products, like we're using plastic to microwave it, and again, that's doing major harm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's plastic everywhere and pesticides and everything. So endocrine disrupting chemicals, now they're much more studied about, and I mean, these are the ones that are causing all sorts of, inflammation in the body, and, you know, precocious puberty in younger kids. Yes. Yes.
There was a study that's just published in Dr. Bickman's lab where they studied diesel fume, and they looked at the fat cells for people that inhaled diesel fumes, and the fat cells were huge and insulin resistant, and it was no different. It was the diesel fumes. So it's, I mean, just like you said, we're seeing, so our eyes are opening, right? And you just cut the ground with your feet. Just look at the sun. We need the sun to stimulate our eyes and to make vitamin D. And, really, if we laugh, but if we just go back to what our great grandparents did and told us,
I was about to be that. Yes.
yes, they didn't know what they knew, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think we just need to go back to the way, like, the jungle life was. Right?
and true. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So Shannon, what about the age? Like, what age should we start worrying about in terms of having insulin resistance and worrying about, our risk of diabetes or pre-diabetes?
Yeah. Preconception, even before you're gonna have children, because what you eat prior to becoming pregnant, from the male too, the male always gets the cop out, but he's not on this one. Is firm or indicative of the food and nutrition that he puts in his body. But I mean, we have the nutrigenomics, right? It's shaping the way that our cells are formed. I mean, there's studies that show, women that are pregnant that drink caffeine, that eat in, high sugar foods, their baby is going to be more at risk for being obese and having diabetes. And breast milk versus, I mean, gosh, we should be such ashamed. It should actually be a crime at infant formula. What is in infant formula? It's high fructose corn syrup. It's sugar. It's inflammatory seed oils. I mean, babies have no chance at birth, like from day one. What they're fed. So it starts before you even decide that you want to have kids. I ask my mom every day, I'm like, "Why did you give me apple juice as a child?" Because now I have the biggest sugar addiction of anybody I know, and it's because my palate was formed as a toddler, right? To what I am. You hear people say, "I'm a salty person, I'm a sweet person," and it all goes back to what mom ate and what mom gave you. Like, you can't start too soon. And I think as a society, you are looked at, again, I don't have children, so forgive me if I misspeak of this, but I feel like as a parent, when you're trying to implement healthy habits for your child, like no fast food, we don't eat desserts, we don't drink sodas, we don't drink juice, you are chastised as not as withholding these things from your child. How dare you not give your child candy, a treat, or a soda, or cake? And that's really not okay.
I
To
agree with
Yeah.
that. Yes. Yeah. I think it's just the environment that we live in, and every other person is eating that, and I mean, then they're saying that, oh, you're depriving your child, as of all these goodies. Forget about the child. Like, even as an adult, hey, you're not eating this, it's just a party, why don't you eat this? Or you're on a diet, you started on it. So it's a lot of, that if your weight is up, that you're looked down upon. But if you're trying to work on some changes, then again you're judged about it. Yes.
No one flinches an eye if you sit down with, you know, a Big Mac and a Coke and French fries from McDonald's. No one says anything, nothing. But the second you sit down with a steak with eggs, like if you're doing carnivore, a steak and eggs and water, they go, "You're gonna eat that?"
Yeah,
You know?
right. Right, I agree completely. That's how the society is, that
It's so
we're
bad.
living. Yes, yeah. Okay. I think we would like to keep moving on this, and I'm really loving the discussion that we're having, Shannon. It's wonderful, and there's so many good points that you bring up, and you did bring up the buzz on cortisol or the stress hormones. But what about the appetite regulating hormones that we talk about? This talks about ghrelin. This talks about leptin. If you could explain in very simple terms, um, how do they actually impact our cravings and, our metabolism? And then what is it that, a person simply can do? Maybe some action items that we could incorporate in probably helping us modify those appetite regulating hormones.
Perfect. Okay. So ghrelin and leptin, and I'm going to throw in GLP-1 since that's the big spill, Jace. I would want you to. So if we look at ghrelin, I always say this is the easiest way to remember ghrelin. Grow, ghrelin grow. So ghrelin is the hormone that makes us want to eat. It makes us hungry, right? Then you have leptin. I think the easiest way to remember leptin is leptin lean. Leptin means you want to be lean, so it makes you satisfied. It makes you not want to eat. Um, and so our fat cells make leptin. The you hear of people that are leptin resistant. I think at one point the pharmaceutical industry actually thought they were gonna, you know, uh, have a game changer and create a drug that targeted leptin resistance. And I don't think we've been very successful at that yet. But the heavier you are, the more leptin your body is trying to produce, but your cells, again, just like they become insulin resistant, they stop responding to leptin too. So eating foods that are high in fat, high in protein, and high in fiber are going to be the best way to turn on these proper hormones like leptin and turn off the ghrelin. The problem comes when we eat these ultra processed foods that are full of chemicals and um, things that our body doesn't really recognize. You can go on the cholecystine kinase and the PYY and all of those that we don't need to talk about. But those things get stimulated from amino acids and from fatty acids and the stress receptors in our belly. And when we are eating ultra processed food, that doesn't happen. But I also, when we're talking about hormones, I cannot leave out insulin. Insulin is the driver. It is the Mac Daddy. It is the captain of the ship. And if you have high insulin levels, you are going to always be hungry. That's all there is to it. And if you have high insulin, you'll never tap into your own body fat to start burning that. It's not going to have it. Just like you said earlier, it's an anabolic hormone. Its job is to store energy, but at the same time prevent energy breakdown. It will not allow you to pull out and utilize your own fat for energy. So we've got to get insulin controlled, right? And when we control insulin, you see leptin reset, you see ghrelin reset. But GLP-1 is one that slows down gut motility. So we've used them for years in small doses to treat diabetes. It's just when you jack up the dose that you get these side effects that people are wanting without even considering or not that they're not considering, but their drive to be thin is so much more than the risk of these drugs that they're like closing a blind eye to them. But we can our body makes it makes GLP-1. It makes it itself just in small amounts. But guess what? If you eat fiber, if you eat protein and you eat fat, you're going to increase your own GLP-1. So the body, God is brilliant, and our bodies are very smart in how they're made, and they can do everything. Our body can do exactly what it needs to do if we provide it real food. It's when we use high fructose corn syrup, inflammatory seed oils. These aren't real foods. Food dyes, food chemicals, that our body is like, whoa, I just ate all that. Yeah, but I don't feel satisfied. So we can keep eating. It just throws our whole endocrine system into metabolic haywire, and people don't get satisfied. And then we eat. But I and you can speak, you're an endocrinologist, you can speak much better on this than I can, but I think that when we're stressed and our cortisol and um our anxiety and our mental health, we we turn to food as coping mechanisms, and we override those hormones. I think that our environment overrides these.